And Vivien. As always, Vivien, I thought you gave a very technically and fantastic speech. Your clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, all that stuff, fantastic. You got that nailed down. There are a couple technical aspects I'd like to drill down in more because I think you did them especially well. The first is audience awareness. By engaging the audience with a question to be actually answered is really something that's next level. That brings the audience literally into your speech. And it wasn't just something that you did for the sake of audience engagement either. You explained how your question was relevant to us and the speech. I also want to talk about the interest level of your topic. You made the speech relevant to us by showing us that we have trouble answering the simple question of who we are, which is the whole point of your speech. And you also gave us some tips on how to figure ourselves out in order to help ourselves answer that question we were having such difficulty with earlier. You asked us to ask a group of people, find out what others think, which is something that is very difficult for people to do, to ask people what they think of them, because that is, after all, and that's you. You are what other people see you as. And that's not something that's very often talked about and very difficult to do. So I appreciate you reminding us that in order to get the truth, you got to go looking for it. I also thought you, of course, particularly excelled at the audience awareness part, which I just talked about. I talked about how that audience awareness, tying your questions, our feedback to the message of your speech, helps ensure that we, of course, walk away with that main message in mind. By including us in the speech, by making us a part of its creation, we are, of course, more likely to remember that and pay attention to what you're having to say. And of course, I thought you excelled at your energy and enthusiasm. You put on a show that we want to watch. As far as things to work on, I very much appreciate your audience engagement, but it reminded me of something. This isn't really a critique of your speech in particular, but more of something to be wary of in general. And I'd like to make aware of the warning to not rely too heavily on audience engagement. Like I said, you didn't run into this problem in your speech, but in general, I can see in the future how this approach could potentially send a speech off the rails if you're relying on your audience too much to give you too much information and they don't end up delivering. So as overall, I thought this was an expertly delivered speech with a fabulous example of how to properly do audience engagement while giving us a glimpse of the potential dangers that we may find lurking if we go too far and attempt to over-engage our audience. Vivien, as always, this was a fabulous speech and I very much enjoyed it. Back to you.